The rooster's crow cracked the early morning silence in Enugu. Chikwudi Bear Okafor sat at his narrow table, a battered sign language book spread before him. The pages were smudged from weeks of use, the diagrams of hands clear but stubborn to his own fingers. He tried each shape: A, B, C, stop, run, ball. His hands trembled, stiff, uncooperative. In the cracked mirror above the table, he caught his reflection. Once, he had been the lion of the sidelines, a man who bet boys into champions. Now, he was a student again, fumbling like a child. His jaw clenched until the veins stood out. "If this is what it takes, I'll learn," he muttered. But in the shadows of his heart, another voice whispered, "Or pride will destroy you first." The days that followed were not easy. Chikwudi Okafor came to the field with chalk and diagrams, convinced that the way to shape these teenagers into winners was the same way he had built champions before: complex plays, endless repetition, strict control. But the Ravens were not his old teams. He scrawled arrows on the cracked wall, shouting, gesturing wildly. They tried to follow, but their movements were clumsy. 2 linemen missed their blocks. A receiver cut the wrong way. And when Kelechi darted through the line, he slammed into a teammate instead. The ball dropped into the dust. The team burst into laughter, noiseless, shoulders shaking, hands flashing jokes at each other. To them, the coach's carefully drawn plan was a comedy skit. Chikwidi's face burned. Again, he barked. They tried again. And failed again. Frustration thickened the air. At last, Kelechi stopped midfield, arms raised, sweat gleaming on his skin. His hand sliced through the air, sharp, furious. Amara translated, her voice steady though her eyes burned. "He says, you're trying to turn us into your old players. But we're not them. We don't need complicated noise. We play with our eyes. We see more than you." The words cut deeper than any blade. Chikwidi's chest thundered with the old fire. "See more? Football is about control. About discipline. I built champions this way." His roar cracked across the empty stands. But the Ravens stood unshaken. Their silence mocked him more than jeers ever could. For the first time in his long career, Chikwudi felt the weight of his irrelevance. His roar no longer meant anything. Still, he pushed them harder. Sprints until their legs shook. Formations until sweat soaked their jerseys. His voice grew hoarse from shouting, though he knew they couldn't hear a word. And they resisted. Not openly, but in the way they dragged their feet, in the smirks they flashed when his back was turned, in the half-hearted way they ran his drills. Their rebellion was quiet, but it was strong. When the final whistle blew, they walked away without a word, laughing in signs only they understood. Amara lingered just long enough to deliver a final strike. "You're fighting the wrong battle." Then she turned and left him alone on the dust. That night, Chikwudi sat slumped in his apartment, staring at the championship photo on his wall. The boys in the picture had obeyed him without question. They had trusted him, loved him even. But these Ravens? They did not fear him. They did not care about his roar. He poured himself a small glass of palm wine, hands trembling. Was he too old? Too stubborn? Or simply finished? Sleep refused to come. Memories haunted him instead. He saw again the microphones shoved in his face, reporters asking, "Did you know about the bribes, coach? Did you profit from it?" He remembered the shame of walking away. And now, the same humiliation threatened to return. "I won't be broken twice," he muttered into the darkness. "They will respect me. Even if I have to break them first." The next day, his stubbornness returned with him to the field. He drilled them until their lungs burned. He shouted until his throat ached. And still, the Ravens did not bend. Midway through practice, Kelechi threw down the ball and strode up to him, chest heaving, eyes blazing. He signed slowly, deliberately, making sure every word was clear. Amara translated, "He says, you can't break us. If you can't learn to listen, we will play without you." The rest of the team stood behind him, arms folded, nodding in silent unity. The field spun around Chakotay. The old lion inside him screamed to roar, to crush their defiance. But their eyes, proud, fierce, unyielding, held him still. And for the first time in decades, he felt something unfamiliar, the sting of humility. His breath shook. His voice cracked low. Then, he whispered, "Show me how." The words were quiet, almost swallowed by the hot afternoon air. But for the ravens, it was the loudest thing he had ever said. Amara stepped forward, her expression unreadable. She raised her hands, forming a single word, "Tomorrow." The team turned and walked off, leaving Chakotay alone on the pitch. His shadow stretched long across the fading sunlight. He looked down at his hands, hands that once commanded fear, now trembling with uncertainty. The whistle around his neck felt heavier than iron. He gripped it, then let it fall. Tomorrow, everything would change. Either he would learn to see through silence, or the ravens would leave him behind. To be continued.